biggest success, it's around $250,000 a month we did selling the wooden sunglasses. I started doing a strategy that called one country dropshipping, with dropshipping in the European markets, where we found a strategy that was able to take stores from zero to $100,000 just the first month, and we can actually replicate it. So
Hey everyone, it's Sean again from 𝐸𝐤𝐻. In today's video, we get to interview Henrik Wold. He is a 7-figure dropshipper and he's only 22 years old. And we're gonna be able to pick his brain in this interview. Thanks, Henrik, for accepting the interview.
no problem, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Awesome. So first, can you give us a bit of background on your e-commerce journey?
Yeah, for sure. I started doing dropshipping around the age of 16 or 17. I'm pretty sure it was 16. And I spent like 2 years making no money. I think most people do. We just waste money on Facebook ads and things like that. I don't really know how to find good products. I did that for around 2 years. And then over the summer of 2018, I finally hit my first like very successful store. We were selling the wooden sunglasses. It was a big trend back then. And ever since then, I've just been running e-commerce stores. I've done multiple 7 figures in it, and I've also done it with other people. And eventually, I decided to start up my own agency as well, which work with e-commerce stores and just try to scale them to the next level. So I've been doing this now for around 6-7 years, and it's still a very good business model.
Could you talk to us about your biggest successes and biggest setbacks in dropshipping?
So I was actually running a few stores myself. What I started doing was teaming up with people. I started just working with people from my Instagram, because I actually documented my journey, and you can go back and see on my YouTube channel when I was like 18 years old running the stores and how I did everything. And eventually I started getting a lot of contacts, and I just started partnering up with people more so as a consultant and also like for ad management. And we were just running stores together. And my biggest success, it's around $250,000 a month we did selling the wooden sunglasses. We had very big success the summer of 2018, 2019, and then in 2022, I started doing a strategy that called one country dropshipping, which is the main thing I'm into now. We had super big success there as well, dropshipping in the European markets, where we found a strategy that was able to take stores from zero to $100,000 just the first month, and we can actually replicate it. So it works very well. I think for setbacks, the biggest problems we've had is definitely payment provider shutdowns. Many people think the hardest part with dropshipping is finding winning products. They think it's the advertising. Dropshipping doesn't have the best reputation, let's be honest, especially in the starting phase. And the biggest struggles we have had is actually Stripe account shutdowns, payment on hold, all of these things. It's not had any major setbacks, to be honest. It's been kind of smooth, but we also haven't run super risky, beauty products and stuff like that. It's been relatively smooth, but there was a point too where I was at my 20th product. I was just spending money. I saw no results. I was thinking, do I just give up with it? That was hard. But ever since I switched to dropshipping to one country in Europe and avoiding the competition, we've had very good success. But I just want to clarify for most people watching this, how I'm involved with dropshipping now is I partner up with people, followers of mine, friends of mine, and we run the stores together for a percentage. I'm more in the advertising aspects right now.
Can you let us know what other types of products you've sold, just to give the viewers an idea of what a winning product is?
100%, man. Home products has been very, very good. Products that doesn't really belong to a niche. I've sold a lot of gadgets, a lot of random stuff. The 3D printers, I'm sure many people watching this have seen too. I've sold many of those where you can just like take a picture with your phone and it prints out. Usually it's either home products in the terms of home decor. We did sell a lot of beauty products not too long ago, but we do it differently. We always try to time the actual markets. So for example, with the electricity prices in Europe, we did a product for that, which I can't say too much about now. But we're always trying to see something that's going on in the world now that we can actually capitalize on. So we sell a lot of weird products too, but very often it's home products or it's gadgets and tools. We don't sell too much problem-solving products. I think it's too hard, too competitive. We look for the wow factor products, the things that's viral, right? And I have some people that's very good at TikTok who can produce the best TikTok ads, and we really just try to hack into the algorithm. So yeah, just selling more low ticket products, wow factor products, I think is also the easiest, around $20, $30, $40. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just stick to the home niche or gadgets and tools.
That's really interesting that you have such a specific niche that you prefer. Other dropshippers, they kind of like go with whatever's trending. But that brings me to my next question. How do you figure out what to sell? What's your product criteria?
Very good question, man. It's a little bit easy for me that does one country dropshipping, which I'll explain. One country dropshipping is the strategy that I made up after having multiple rounds of success dropshipping in Europe, Australia, UK, because I saw, and I'll explain in a second how to find the products because it's different because of that. I saw how it's so hard in the US. People test 20, 30 products, ad costs are high. So we found that just bringing it to Europe where there's no competition is easier. So how I find the price is actually, since the competition in Europe is so much lower, I just find the products that does good in the US and I just bring them there. So I don't have to really research so much. Like if it works well in the US, it's gonna work in Europe too. So I can just run pretty basic products, to be honest. But my best strategy actually right now has been to go somewhere on AliExpress. It's on the homepage. It's a section that's called More to Love. If you scroll down, and it just hands you winning products. It's I can't show it now, but I find many products on AliExpress and also the Facebook home feed. But honestly, we run kind of saturated products, but it's because I don't really believe in super saturated products or winning products. I believe more in saturated markets. So I just take what's proven to work and put it somewhere people haven't seen it before. It usually performs very, very well.
Right. That's such a unique take. One country dropshipping, saturated products don't exist. It's just saturated markets. But let's talk about transitioning away from dropshipping. Do you ever advocate for dropshippers to eventually transition away from dropshipping and buy wholesale, work with a 3PL to scale their store? How would you go about scaling your store?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've looked at it a little bit different than many people have. I think there came to a point where I had two options, right? Am I going to start a big brand and try to eventually sell it, let's say 3 to 5 years from now, or am I going to start up something else? At that time, in around 2019, people did either a brand or an agency because the agency space was also popping up. And for me, I realized I'd rather get into an e-com agency, like in terms of scaling. I think you can choose both options. I think going with the brand is cool. It was just never really for me. There can be a phase where you have really high revenue, low profits. It was just not logical to me, to be honest, especially also since I did everything on YouTube and so many people want to work with me for my ad strategy. But I think if you go into that, it is good. I think you should have a product that you've seen you be successful for like 6-12 months maybe before. It can be a little risky. I did drop shipping, or I mean, I still do. I do drop shipping more like just pump the products and move on, because once you get the pixel data, you get the sales, you can run, targeting ad sets into the same niche, and you can just make that niche work for you. That's why I'm in the home niche, because anything we really touch there is going to turn into gold because we have, the systems and ad accounts set up. So I more so just pump stores and just switch the product. Honestly, I'm not even that experienced with branding, but it of course can be a very good way to go. It just depends on how you think of it. It can be much more long term, but it's also a lot harder than people make it seem.
Definitely, yeah. Branding's a whole different ball game compared to just relying on the current trends. But how do you go about finding a supplier for dropshipping?
You want to make sure that you have a shipping time of not more than 14 days. I think even that can be a little bit long, because I mean, Amazon now has 1 day delivery, right? And that's what you're competing with. So I'd say like 5 to 12 days is good. 14 days if you have to. I think that's also all right.
We totally agree, Henrik. Yeah, shipping times is incredibly important for dropshipping, and that's why we always recommend that when dropshippers scale, they move on to doing wholesale. So we have two products that can help with that. So first is Sale Who Dropship, which allows you to find pre-vetted dropship suppliers and integrate their products to your store. And then when you're ready to scale your store, you can move on to buying wholesale by going to the Sale Who directory, where you can find wholesale suppliers all over the world, and you can find a local one that's nearest to you and get it shipped to your 3PL, so you can offer faster shipping times.
Yeah, man, it's most definitely important, and also in the transition phase. And I think if you don't have the right shipping time now, there's going to be no chance for you. I mean, we're competing with people that's 1 day shipping times. So Sale Who is the way to go for sure.
In terms of like recommending how beginner dropshippers should start marketing, do you recommend they should go with like Facebook ads, TikTok ads, or not do ads at all and go with organic? Maybe, for example, TikTok organic.
It's a great question, man. I think obviously it's situational, right? But I think with TikTok organic, it can be somewhat inconsistent but I also think that it's going to teach you a lot of skills required to succeed with dropshipping. So if TikTok is the platform that you want to go for, and you maybe have a lower budget, the TikTok organic is not only good just to bring you a few sales, you will actually learn how to get in the algorithm, how to create native content. You really understand the content creation part of things, which is the most important thing on TikTok. So that's why I think it's good. TikTok organic purely as a way to make sales, I actually don't think it's so good. It can be inconsistent, and hitting the viral videos is much harder than you think. For a beginner, especially with a budget under 2K, I think that TikTok is going to be easier, especially for younger demographic too, who understands it. But TikTok is much easier. You don't need to be advanced with audiences or anything. You just need to know how to create cool content. Facebook, I think, in my experience, is a little bit more long-term. It's more controllable because of the targeting, the audiences. So I personally like to scale the Facebook ads, but I honestly, man, I think both are good. I just think they're still easy. If TikTok is like a easiness 6 out of 10, Facebook like 5 out of 10. Just a little bit harder, you know what I mean? And
Right.
maybe a little bit more expensive.
Yeah. And your agency, you handle mostly Facebook ads or all sorts of ads?
I used to do mostly Facebook ads, but both platforms aren't really that hard. So now I just do whatever the client is doing. Honestly, both are fine with me.
And could you share us your paid ad strategies for platforms like Facebook and TikTok? Maybe you could let us know what type of campaigns you utilize.
Utilizing CBOs is 100% like the most aggressive way to scale. It's what I've been using, campaign budget optimization. I use that for all the testing. That's the key to how I find winning products. So just quick little tip here, always make sure you have that button on when you're testing out your products.
So CBO for testing, that would be your
100%.
strategy. And then how about if you realize that, okay, the product is working, it's a winner, and you have like good ad sets that are profitable, how do you scale from there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I would do, first of all, CBOs usually work very vertical. I don't make much changes inside of them. If I have $100 CBO, it does well, I'll just double the budget. That's it. That's how I like to scale them. Once I get around 10, 20 sales, I would say maybe 15, which you should be getting from a good CBO, I will actually make an ABO, and inside of there, I will start testing out more different interests. I will split test each ad set. I will run them at $10 a day. My goal here is within 2 days, and this is my exact scaling strategy, to get ad sets that has 3 sales at $10 a day. That's the goal. And then duplicate them from $10 a day to $25 a day. So I just scale most of the things vertically. Then every single day, I'm going to add, let's say, 2 new interests, audiences, ad sets, and I'm going to kill 3. So eventually, I'm going to get better audiences. And the reason your guys' products is dying out is most definitely that you don't test enough interest and audiences. That's the key. But scaling, usually I do it most vertically. I use a lot of CBOs, and I just double the budget. If it works at $10 a day, it's probably going to work at $25 a day as well.
The next question I have regarding marketing, it's the last question for marketing. It's what are your top tips for dropshippers on the marketing side of things?
My tip is definitely to not just compete with people. Focus on creating content for your own audience. This is the key. So the only reason really that what I do is so successful is because we do not, and this is very good advice that I don't think is so often seen out there, we don't compete. Most people, let's say, you want to sell these sunglasses, most people are going to recommend you to target people that's interested in sunglasses, interested in fashion. And this is so important. You need to think outside the box, because with your small budgets, you know, the competitors here are spending hundreds of thousands. With your small budget, there's no chance for you to compete in the big interests. That's also why I like to do one country dropshipping, but let's look at it as audiences. You need to find your own small market and specialize there, right? It's just like if I start a big YouTube channel and I create the most broad content, there's no way that I can compete with the big YouTubers. So I need to make my own small ideas, create my own audience, and then go bigger and bigger. So definitely find your own little market. Try to do things that stands out and makes it more unique.
If a beginner starting with $500, how do you think they should start out dropshipping? Or do you recommend they need to save up more?
I'm just going to be honest. There's many people out there who's looking to sell you a dream. Most people are starting dropshipping with the goal of being rich. Let's be honest. And if you think that $500 is going to be enough to put you in that position where you can be rich, I think you don't really look at things, too logical. It doesn't make much sense. I think you can make it work with $1,500, but it's pretty much gambling. If you have $500, you should either be doing organic and just save your ads. The profits you make from organic, you should reinvest in ads and have at least $1,000 budget. It's my advice. Otherwise, it can just be gambling. Or, you know what I used to do? I had like $300. I'll just spend it. If I fail, I'll just be trying to figure out where is my next 300, where's my next 300. Eventually, someday it would start working, but man, I would say you honestly should have $1,000. If not, just do TikTok organic or like save up. TikTok organic is great, even though it's not what I prefer, but it's a great way to build capital for sure. Otherwise, just save up a little bit, because getting into dropshipping is not as easy as some people make it seem, but it's doable 100%.
So last question, Henrik, how do you think dropshipping or e-commerce will change over the next 1 to 2 years? And how do you advise to adapt to these changes?
I think, man, the biggest changes really was like the last 3 to 4 years, because 4 years ago you could dropship with 60-day shipping times pretty much, and you know what I mean. So I don't really think there's that big of changes. I think there can come changes to advertising platforms, their rules, things like that. I definitely think that TikTok is going to be the main dropshipping platform. I think Facebook might even, you know, go completely to the side. I'm not sure yet. I think, though, you need to have good shipping time. That's 100% essential. That's one of the most important things. I just think you need to be professional. Use things like gem pages, page file. Make your page in store don't look like other dropshippers. People have seen that. They're not going to fall for it. But yeah, if you can just stand out a little bit and not look so much like a dropshipping store and you have fast shipping, I think you will be good 2 years from now as well.
Anyways, that's it for the interview,
you.
Henrik. Thanks for accepting it.
Thank you. And yeah, you guys watching, keep working. Dropshipping is a great business model, and it's very much alive.